Here's a truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Comfort kills greatness. You've been told to seek security, to find the sure thing, to build a safe, predictable life. But the Swiss financial elite, the people who built fortunes while everyone else played it safe, discovered something radical after World War II. If you're not worried, you're not risking enough. And if you're not risking, you're not truly living. In our first video on this subject, we learned from Zor that most people's money problems start in their minds, in their broken relationship with wealth. Then Ramit Sethi showed us the practical systems to actually manage money once your psychology is right. But here's what neither of them told you, even with the right mindset and perfect systems. If you're not willing to intelligently risk, you'll stay comfortable and small forever. Today, we're going deep into the Zurich Axioms, the secret code that says, comfort kills greatness. If you're not worried, you're not risking enough. This is about self-mastery. Welcome to KM Knowledge Movement. The origin story. After World War II, a group of Swiss speculators looked around at the financial advice being handed out to ordinary people and realized something. It was designed to keep people poor. Diversify. Play it safe. Think long-term. All of it was garbage. So they created their own code, 12 major axioms, to govern how they would handle money, risk, and uncertainty. These weren't academic theories. These were battle-tested rules from people who had skin in the game. Max Gunther spent years studying these speculators and distilled their wisdom into the Zurich Axioms. And here's what matters. These principles aren't just about the stock market. They're about how you approach risk in your career, your relationships, your entire life. The axioms demand one thing above all, that you stop living unconsciously, that you face the inner war between your craving for safety and your desire for greatness. Most people never face that war. They surrender to comfort and wonder why their lives feel small. Let's make sure that's not you. Axiom 1. On risk, the first axiom hits like ice water. Worry is not a sickness, but a sign of health. If you are not worried, you are not risking enough. Think about that. Our entire culture tells us to eliminate worry, to find peace, to be comfortable. The Zurich Axioms say the opposite. Worry means you're in the game. The Swiss speculators had a rule: always play for meaningful stakes. If losing an amount won't hurt you, then winning that amount won't change you either. You're wasting your time with pseudo-activity that feels productive, but goes nowhere. Here's the perspective shift. Most people live in a state of pseudo-security. They stay in jobs that slowly kill their spirit because the pain of staying feels smaller than the fear of leaving. They keep money in savings accounts that earn less than inflation because losing money feels worse than missing opportunity. But the speculators understood something about human psychology. The pain of regret is worse than the pain of loss. You can recover from a loss. You can't recover the time you wasted being too afraid to try. The discipline here is this: embrace the anxiety. Stop trying to eliminate it. That knot in your stomach when you're taking a calculated risk? That's not weakness. That's evidence you're doing something meaningful. If you never feel that knot, you're not growing. You're dying comfortably. Axiom 2. On greed, axiom 2 is where the inner war gets real. Always take your profit too soon. This is the ultimate test of the ego. Your ego wants to ride the wave to the very top. It wants to brag about perfect timing. It wants to feel like a genius. The axioms say, forget all that. Decide in advance what your profit goal is, and when you reach it, get out. Don't wait for the peak. The peak is a cliff, and you only know you were at the peak after you've fallen off it. The Swiss speculators understood something about human nature that modern behavioral science has confirmed. We are terrible at knowing when to stop. There's always this voice saying, just a little more. That voice has destroyed more fortunes than any market crash. Here's the practical application. Before you enter any venture, an investment, a business, a project, define what success looks like. Write down the number, the outcome, the goal. Then, when you hit it, walk away. Even if it feels like there's more to gain. Even if everyone around you is saying you're leaving money on the table. This is the discipline of enough. And it's one of the rarest forms of self-mastery because it requires you to defeat your own greed when you re-winning. Most people can handle losing. It's winning that exposes their lack of discipline. The sun is shining. Everything feels perfect. That's exactly when you should leave the party. Axiom 3. On hope, Axiom 3 is brutal in its clarity. When the ship starts to sink, don't pray. Jump. Hope is the most dangerous emotion in speculation. And in life, our brains are wired with something called loss aversion. Neurologically, we feel the pain of losing twice as intensely as the pleasure of winning. So when an investment goes south, when a career path turns toxic, when a relationship becomes destructive, we stay. We hope it will turn around. The Swiss speculators say, hope is not a strategy, it's a prison. If the venture is wrong, admit it. Take your small loss and move on. Don't let a small wound become a fatal one because your ego was too proud to say, I made a mistake. This is where ancient wisdom meets modern neuroscience. The Stoics taught the same thing 2,000 years ago. Recognize what you cannot control and have the courage to let it go. Hope keeps you attached to a sinking ship because you've invested so much already, your time, your money, your identity. That investment is called a sunk cost, and it's a fallacy. The money is gone. The time is gone. Staying doesn't get it back. The discipline here. When something isn't working, acknowledge it early. Cut your losses while they're still small. This takes tremendous ego strength because it means admitting you were wrong. But here's the perspective shift. Admitting you were wrong isn't weakness. Staying on a sinking ship because you're too proud to jump, that's weakness. The strong swimmer jumps and finds another ship. The weak one drowns with the first one. Axiom 4. On forecasts, human beings are obsessed with prediction. We want prophets. We want gurus who can tell us what will happen. Axiom 4 destroys that fantasy. Human behavior cannot be predicted. Distrust anyone who claims to know the future. Every year, financial experts make predictions. 10 years later, they're spectacularly wrong. But we keep listening because the illusion of certainty is comforting. The Zurich Axioms tell us, don't build your life on predictions. Build it on reactions. This is the inner wisdom of presence. You can't control what happens tomorrow. You can only control how you respond to what's happening now. Stop waiting for someone to tell you the right time to make your move. There is no right time. There are only moments, and your ability to read them clearly and act decisively. The Swiss speculators succeeded not because they could predict the future, but because they were exceptionally good at reading the present. They watched what was actually happening, not what economists said should happen. The practical takeaway: ignore the forecast. Ignore the 10-year plans. Build your strategy on flexibility and sharp observation of what's real right now. Axiom 5. On patterns, our brains are pattern recognition machines. We survived as a species because we could see patterns. This plant is poisonous. That sound means danger. But Axiom 5 warns us, chaos is not dangerous until it begins to look orderly. We see 3 good months in a row, and we think we found a formula. We see someone succeed doing X, so we copy X, expecting the same result. We believe that because something happened 5 times, it will happen a 6th time. This is the gambler's fallacy. The belief that past random events influence future random events. The Swiss speculators knew, beware of illusory patterns. Just because you flipped heads 5 times doesn't make tails more likely on the 6th flip. The world is far more random than we want to admit. And that randomness is actually less dangerous than our false belief that we figured out the pattern. Why? Because once we believe we found the pattern, we stop being careful. We start betting big on our system, and that's when we get destroyed. The discipline here: stay skeptical. Especially when things are going well. Especially when you think you've cracked the code. The moment you feel certain, that's the moment to question everything. As soon as chaos starts to look orderly, that's when you need to worry. Axiom 6 on mobility. Axiom 6 cuts against one of the deepest human instincts. Avoid putting down roots. They impede motion. We're told to be loyal, to commit, to stick with something through thick and thin. And in relationships and values, that makes sense. But in ventures, in careers, in investments, the Zurich Axioms say, loyalty to a losing proposition is not a virtue, it's a cage. The Swiss speculators understood that attachment is the enemy of opportunity. We get emotionally invested in a company, a house, a stock, a business idea, and then we can't let go even when it's clearly time to move. This is the Taoist principle of water. Water doesn't fight, it flows. When it encounters an obstacle, it doesn't try to smash through it. It goes around. It finds another path. Most people are more like ice, rigid, stuck, and that rigidity breaks them. The practical application. Regularly ask yourself, if I were starting fresh today, would I choose the same path? If the answer is no, then why are you still on it? The discipline of mobility. Be ready to walk away from anything that's not working. Not impulsively, but when a better opportunity arises, you must be able to sever your attachments and move. Stay fluid. Like water, the rigid tree breaks in the storm. The flexible one survives. Axiom 7. On intuition, can you trust your gut? Axiom 7 gives us a clear test. A hunch can be trusted if and only if it can be explained. This is where neuroscience meets wisdom. Intuition isn't magic. It's your brain processing thousands of data points faster than your conscious mind can track. When you have a feeling about something, it might be genuine pattern recognition based on deep experience. Or it might just be anxiety. How do you know which? The Zurich Axioms say, if you can articulate a logical reason for your hunch, even after the fact, trust it. If you can't, ignore it. Let's say you meet someone for a business deal, and you get a bad feeling. If you can identify what triggered it, their body language, inconsistencies in their story, something in their background, that's valid intuition. But if you just have a vibe with no underlying reason, that's probably fear or bias, not wisdom. The practical discipline. When you have a strong hunch, stop and examine it. Can you explain it? Can you find the evidence your brain was processing? If yes, act on it. If no, be skeptical. Don't let superstition masquerade as insight. Axiom 8. On religion and the occult. This axiom is a hard truth for many people. It is unlikely that God's plan for the universe includes making you rich. The Swiss speculators weren't atheists. They just understood something crucial. Don't use spirituality as a substitute for strategy. Praying for wealth while making terrible decisions is magical thinking. Believing in the law of attraction while avoiding risk is self-deception. The axioms tell us, keep the spiritual and the financial separate. Have your faith. Have your spiritual practice. But when it comes to risk management, take responsibility. This is a perspective shift about power. When you rely on luck or fate or divine intervention to fix your financial problems, you're handing over your agency. You're making yourself powerless. The discipline of self-mastery requires you to own your outcomes. Not in an arrogant way you can't control everything, but in a responsible way, your decisions, your preparation, your risk management. The universe isn't conspiring to make you successful, but it will reward you if you play by its rules. As the ancient proverb says, trust in God, but tie up your camel. Axiom 9. On optimism and pessimism, Axiom 9 destroys one of modern culture's most sacred beliefs. Optimism means expecting the best. Confidence means being ready for the worst. Our culture worships optimism. Think positive. Manifest your dreams. The universe rewards positive energy. The Zurich Axioms say, an optimist is a sucker. Optimism is expecting things to work out. Confidence is knowing you'll handle it when they don't. This is the difference between naive hope and mature resilience. The optimist walks into a venture thinking, this can't fail. The confident person walks in thinking, if this fails, here's my exit strategy. Who do you think survives? This is mental toughness. This is the discipline that the Stoics practiced 2,000 years ago. They didn't hope for the best. They prepared for the worst while working toward the best. The practical application. Before entering any risk, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What's the best that could happen? 2. What's the worst that could happen? 3. Can I handle the worst? If you can't handle the worst, don't take the risk. If you can, then move forward with confidence, not optimism. Axiom 10. On consensus, Axiom 10 is the rule of the rebel. Disregard the majority opinion. It is probably wrong. When everyone is buying, it's too late. When everyone says a certain career path is the only way, look the other way. When conventional wisdom becomes unanimous, it's time to question it. Why? Because crowds are always the last to know. By the time everyone agrees on something, the smart money has already moved. This is a perspective shift about truth and crowds. We're taught to trust consensus, but the axioms remind us truth is rarely found in the majority. Every major innovation, every great fortune, every paradigm shift was created by someone willing to stand alone. The herd follows, the master leads. The discipline here: develop the courage to think independently, to question what everybody knows, to be comfortable being the only one in the room with your position. This doesn't mean being contrarian just to be contrarian. It means refusing to outsource your thinking to the crowd. Public opinion is a lagging indicator. By the time everyone agrees, the opportunity is gone. Axiom 11. On stubbornness, Axiom 11 challenges one of our most cherished beliefs about success. If it doesn't pay off the first time, forget it. Never give up. Persistence is everything. Winners never quit. The Zurich Axioms say, that's nonsense. Persistence is only a virtue if you're on the right path. Don't confuse stubbornness with discipline. Don't confuse refusal to quit with strategic persistence. If you've tried something multiple times and it keeps failing, that's not the universe testing you. That's reality telling you this isn't the way. The speculators had a rule: don't average down on a bad investment. If you bought a stock at $100 and it drops to $50, don't buy more thinking you'll lower your average cost. That's just throwing good money after bad. The same applies to life. Do and keep pouring energy into a fundamentally broken situation, hoping your persistence will fix it. The discipline: know when to pivot. Cutting your losses isn't giving up, it's making room for something better. The difference between a master and a fool: the master knows when to walk away. The fool thinks walking away is weakness. AXIOM 12. On planning, Axiom 12. On planning. The final axiom destroys the myth of the 5-year plan. Long-range plans engender the dangerous belief that the future is under control. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being realistic. You don't know what the world will look like in 5 years. You don't know what you'll want. You don't know what opportunities will arise or what disasters will strike. The Stoics understood this. Focus on what you can control now, not 5 years from now. Now. The axioms say, plan for immediate hazards and opportunities. Stay flexible. Your long-term security doesn't come from having the perfect plan. It comes from your ability to adapt to reality as it unfolds. This is the ultimate perspective shift. Stop trying to predict and control the future. Start building the skills and mindset to handle whatever comes. A rigid plan makes you fragile. Adaptability makes you anti-fragile. The Zurich Axioms aren't just about money. They're a philosophy of how to live when nothing is certain. They demand that you stop living unconsciously, that you face the inner war between your desire for safety and your hunger for greatness. They demand self-mastery, the discipline to manage your greed when you re-winning and your hope when you re-losing. They demand perspective shifts, recognizing that comfort kills, that crowds are usually wrong, that hope without strategy is delusion. You are not your thoughts. You are not your fears. You are the one who decides which risks are worth taking. Take one calculated risk this week. Not reckless, calculated. Something that makes you a little worried. Because remember, worry is a sign of health. Step out of the comfort zone. Embrace the anxiety. That's where growth lives. The world belongs to the bold, but it is kept by the disciplined. Stay conscious. Stay moving.